hello you lot. We've not done a video like this for a while, not just behind the desk, but just us chatting and being us. We don't have any real agenda other than to answer some questions which have been set by our patrons. This is going to be a two-part video. Half of it is going to be Patreon only, so if you want to support us, www.patreon.com/MrBiffo. But we thought, didn't we, Sanja? We actually thought a thing, and that thing we thought was...
That doesn't happen often.
We should just basically give you a bit of a life update, let you know where we're at with the channel and everything.
Yeah, because sorry, I'm getting distracted. I can't help
every
it.
time.
It's
they can't see it on the video.
Oh my God, the longest string just hanging down.
It's not a string.
How is anyone meant to not be able to focus on that? Dangling string.
We thought we would give you a bit of a sort of life update.
Yes.
We've had quite a few months.
Yes.
To say the least. Some of you, or most of you, kind of know that my dad died. And he was ill for quite a long time. Well, not quite a long time. He was ill for a couple of months because he went into hospital with COVID. It just got progressively worse. And then he died at the end of September. And we had the funeral a couple of weeks ago. But we've, since then, because my mum is on her own and she's blind, so we've kind of been adjusting to a bit of a new reality. I mean, aside from the whole getting over the fact my dad died, we're just sort of having to adjust to the fact that we're sharing kind of the responsibility to care for my mum between me and Sanja and my sisters, basically. Thankfully she lives relatively close to us, but it does mean that we're down there quite often, so we're just sort of trying to work out at the moment. We're just trying to work out, I don't know, balancing everything with her. And
there's been a lot of paperwork and other kind of, which is ongoing. It's not dealt with yet.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff, which you don't realise how much red tape there is. Yeah, so you weren't really in the mood to do our usual jokey...
Not today. No.
Silly video.
I mean,
might still be a bit silly.
It might be a bit silly because we're silly people. But essentially, if I haven't been quite as present on sort of social media and the like in recent months, that's why. And it's why those of you who have backed Digi Level 2, I mean, I've updated backers on that, but we're postponing that or pushing that back a bit. There is actually going to be an episode next month for the 30th anniversary. In December, yes.
Oh.
We're going to do the first episode. Well, it's
See,
done.
I didn't even know that. I'd understood January.
It's all filmed. But I thought
I did know that.
But we've got 2 episodes that are sort of anniversary specials that don't really fit with the format of the rest of the show. They're long episodes. You know,
I think I know which ones.
Yeah. So rather than kind of split up those episodes into little bits and sort of lose loads of really good stuff, I'm going to put them all out. One at Christmas, one January the 1st.
That's exciting.
That is exciting, isn't it? What else is there to say? And yeah, on top of that as well, like I say, if this doesn't interest you, any of this, that's fine. There'll be another stupid video along next week of us messing about and being silly. But then on top of that, I mean, as again, some of you know, particularly our patrons, I've just had a really difficult year with work, 2 years really, where work, due to fallout from the pandemic and certain other things that happened in the TV industry and the knock-on effect of world events, basically just my work dried up. And for a while we were sort of relying, because we had no choice, on our Patreon. We're at a stage now where I'm now on Fiverr, which
Fiverr Pro.
I'm a Fiverr Pro. I had to swallow a bit of humble pie to go on there. But thus
you're
far,
loving it, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Thus far,
Yeah.
it's bizarre. I absolutely adore it. I really, really enjoy the work that I'm getting on there.
It's been lovely to see you actually lit up by work and writing. Kind of, I can tell that you're enjoying what you're doing and chatting about it and stuff. You actually seem really inspired and in the flow with it.
It's just there's something, partly because there's a bit of pressure off in terms of, normally there's, with my day job, there's normally like a big machine behind my work, because it's writing for TV. So there's an organisation, there's multiple producers. But with Fiverr, I'm just sort of, I was going to say working for individuals. I did do some work for a big Mongolian telecoms company.
Check out their New Year advert.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve advert.
And
I don't know.
No, it's not New Year's. It's the Lunar New Year. So
Oh.
it's like March next year.
Oh, okay. Check out their Lunar New Year.
Yeah, but mostly it's just it's sort of just dealing with individuals, and it's their sort of passion projects that they need a bit of help with. And I don't know, I'm loving it. So our dire financial circumstances have improved to a point in that we can now get through the month and pay the bills and put food on the table, but we're still at a point where we've got to climb out of this massive debt hole that's just been sort of dug over the last 2 years. And I don't mind talking about this because I know a lot of people.
I'm sure we're not the only ones.
Yeah, a lot of people over the last 2 years went through similar things, and we're not out of that yet. So we're
and also not just the last 2 years, the state of the economy at the moment.
Yeah, it's not
and
helping.
Everything.
It's not helping.
You know, we're definitely not alone.
Yeah, so we're scraping by, whereas before we weren't even that. For a couple of months we were not
We're just scraping.
Yeah. So those of you that knew about all that, you know, it's there's little flickers of hope on the sort of work horizon as well. I might have a decent job come January, but we'll see, you know. But I hope so, because I bloody need it. Other things. This is quite nice. We don't normally do this on YouTube. We do these sort of updates for patrons.
Yeah,
don't we?
and even there, we haven't done one for ages.
No. Digilevel. Well, actually, someone's asked the question. So I was going to say Digilevel, not Digilive 3. Someone's asked the question about that. So we'll wait until we get to that.
Okay.
So let's look. We're just going to jump into it. This is a question from Graham Woods. Now, Graham, before I get to his question, was one of a couple of people who, back when I was struggling, I kind of moaned to my patrons about it. People wanted to help out, and I didn't want them to help out for nothing. So I said, look, is there anything I can do in return? And Graham was one of a few people who has been incredibly patient, because he commissioned me. Him and James Jackman is another one. They've both been really patient, because this sort of happened right at the point at which my dad went into hospital, right before. Yeah. And obviously the last 3-4 months, you know, my mind was not in the right place to be doing paintings, which is what Graham commissioned me for. And I just want to prove to you, Graham, I have started.
You started.
There you go. That's all you're seeing. I have begun. It's a bloody big painting. And I did start it once already, and I hated it, didn't I?
Yes.
So I basically painted over it and started again. Anyway, so James, Graham, they're on the way. They are in progress. Now that I've shown you that I've started, that'll be, you know, gun to my head to finish. Right, so Graham asks, how do you deal with times in your life where your creative urges have to be sidelined or completely subdued? Do you store up ideas and energy, or somehow just switch off that part of you?
Wow.
That's a really tricky question, because it sort of depends on what those times are.
I mean, have you ever been able to switch off that creative part of you? Because you're hyper creative. It's like, I don't think I've ever seen you not be able to in some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, because when my dad was dying, I was putting my album together, wasn't I? I was going to say, because I didn't feel, and then yet we were still putting out digi videos. I mean, the week before he died, we did the Action Man video. That was literally the week he died, or the Monday.
Was it?
Yeah, he died the following Monday, and we did it the Monday before. We did that, and then relatively soon after that, the following week, we were still doing videos and stuff. But there were times, there's the...
And you chose to do videos the following week because you needed that focus to be taken away from the grim reality of the day-to-day life at that time.
It's, you know, apologies to
and
anyone.
Me too, you know, it was not like I was sitting there going like, well, I'm fine, because it was tough.
But I wouldn't have done them unless I'd felt okay to do them.
No, yeah.
That's the thing. I'll tell you one that was a struggle, because it was just after he went into hospital and we were really worried, was the golf video, the dinosaur golf with Paul and Eli.
Oh,
I mean, I can watch that and I can see myself in that, and I can realise I'm not myself. You know, to outsiders, you probably wouldn't realise, but that was, you know, bear in mind, I mean, probably after that, I probably then had to go to the hospital and see him, and my head just wasn't in the right place. You know, I think instinctively when he went into hospital, we all knew he probably wasn't going to come out. And I think that was the sort of dawning of that. But at the same time, probably wouldn't have done the video unless I was okay to.
Yeah.
You know, again, you know, our patrons are brilliant, and they always sort of say, when I say, oh, Digi-video is going to be late or something, they always look, take your time. But I just want to sort of reassure people, I never feel I have to do one even if I'm feeling a bit shit. It's like this week, for example, you know, I said to you, I don't feel like doing a silly one this week. I felt like being a bit more real, because I think in some respects my dad dying, and sorry to go on about it, but I mean, you know, it's been a huge thing, obviously.
I mean, it's a major life event. I think it's fair enough.
Yeah, we all go through it at one point
Yes.
or another. So I think it's okay to talk about it. But I think losing him has hit me a bit more in the last week. Whereas I kept saying to you, I haven't cried.
Yeah.
Whereas it started to kind of hit me more now. So... So I just didn't, you know, I wanted to be a bit more sincere and a bit more honest rather than kind of doing my usual shouting at Sanja, and bickering and being kind of outraged over things for no good reason.
Yeah.
But that's not the question that Graham asked.
So how do you deal with times in your life where your creative urges have to be sidelined?
Well, do they? I would say, do they have to be sidelined?
I mean, I guess sometimes for time purposes, they do.
Yeah.
If you just don't have the time in the day because it gets to the end of the day and you're exhausted.
But then I don't have the urges if I'm that exhausted. If
I'm
not being creative, it's generally because I'm not feeling it anyway. But it's rare that I'm not feeling creative to some level, and that means I can just do funny tweet or toot or yes.
I just got a question for you.
Oh yes, why didn't you send it in?
I should have. No, it's off the back of Graham's one. When we first met, like the first couple of years that we were together, you didn't have any creative side projects or hobbies. No. Now, was that you sidelining your creativity, or was it because your day job was fulfilling those creative urges?
I think it was fulfilling them at that point, to a degree, but also, you know, in terms of side projects, you got to bear in mind, I'd run away from the internet when you and I met. You know, I'd had a horrible experience on there. So that I'd been so massively damaged by my early attempts to, I don't know, do funny stuff on the internet, that I didn't really want to put creative stuff out there. It was only really when I kind of sort of accidentally brought Digi back that I realised, geez, I've missed doing this sort of weird, silly stuff, and it kind of reignited it all. So
you didn't actually consciously miss it at the time?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know. Do I switch that part off? I think it switches itself off and then can come back on. I mean, there are times I feel like I'm in the car and I'll say to Sanja, can you write something down? And it'll normally be some random phrase.
Yes.
I want to use somewhere.
That happens quite a lot.
I mean, on found footage, Turts and Fans.
Yep.
That was... I think I got you to write that down because I literally had the words Turts and Fans stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Literally, and you just knew like it was going just round and round.
Yeah, until you got it out.
Anyway, so Graham, I don't know if I've answered your question.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So you didn't feel like you missed it at the time?
No, because I just thought that if to be creative on the internet, I felt at that point is to risk.
But you didn't have to necessarily be creative on the internet.
Okay, yeah, but I was where? I'd be creative in
for yourself.
Okay, all right, creative in a public. I know, but there's that whole thing. There's the whole thing.
Some people are just create. Like some people just create. They don't.
Yeah, but. Sorry, it's like the old, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Right. Okay, no, that's fair enough.
I think I'm not alone in that, and I don't think there's any shame in that.
No,
I like to share it.
No, absolutely not.
I like to share it. I like to share what I'm doing. And there's something about, because of my crazed ADHD adult brain, there's something about the immediacy of the internet.
Yeah.
That I like having that kind of immediate sort of call and response, if you like, rather than, writing for TV is such a slow process. You write it and it has to be a few months and it gets made and then it's like 6 months. I had the thing that I wrote for CBBC back in January, one episode or something, the one bit of actual work I had this year. That I wrote back in January. I had an email yesterday that it's finally coming out end of November.
Wow. 11 months later.
I know. So there you go. That's what it's like.
Wow. So, yeah, it's so slow.
I mean, I will say is because of the last few weeks, I've got a bit lax on YouTube comments, but we do read them all, and I really like trying to respond to them. But yeah, I've just got a bit lax. I will go back at some point and catch up. But keep leaving them because I do enjoy them.
Yeah, yes. Me too.
And we generally have nice ones.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, I think that question in itself could just open a bigger topic. Yeah, that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to keep talking about it. This is so bad.
Oh God, why?
No, because I'm thinking in the last month or so, I'm not creative in the way that you are, but I do have
creative in your own way.
But I do have activities that I feel nourish my spirit, and I haven't had the chance to do them as much as I wanted to in the last few months. And I really felt it. I really felt the difference. I noticed myself getting tired more.
Yeah.
And really feeling that, missing it.
Yeah.
And I had a lovely morning this morning where I was able to do my little routine.
Yes, you were curled into a ball. I walked past the door and she was curled into a ball. It's called
child's pose. But that's just part of it. It's no, I always make time for the exercise side, but the other side, journaling or reading or doing meditations and stuff, I haven't had a chance to do it for months, and it was so nice to be able to do it. I just feel nourished from it. So it's yes, sometimes I do have to shut that. That's just so not creative, but I do have to shut that part off because for lack of time or just not having enough mental energy.
It builds up in you if you don't get to do it.
It builds up in you.
You'll get grumpy and stressed.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why it was
no, I don't. It's not the same with me. It's just not the same. But then everyone's sort of creative process and everything is different. No, I mean, I love it. I love being creative, but I don't feel I ever even really stop.
I guess your job's creative.
Well, it is, yeah.
So that might help scratch the itch to a certain extent.
I mean, there've been a time. This is the thing with doing Fiverr. God, sorry. Well done, Graham. Sorry to everyone else. We're going to do one question a week. Each video's an hour.
It's a really good question.
Something I sort of realised doing Fiverr is because of the sheer variety is that I realised how burnt out I'd got working on series.
Yeah, you keep saying this.
I was because it's the same format, and I would always do of my kids' shows that got commissioned where I was lead writer. I'd always do about 6 episodes, 5 or 6 episodes generally a series, as well as sort of keeping an eye on other writers' episodes. And just that treadmill of the same characters, the same format, the same types of stories, I think was really burning me out.
Yeah, I remember you saying with Danny's House or Danny's Castle or both that you could basically write the stories in your sleep.
That's different. That's not the same.
Oh.
That's not what I mean by that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, Danny's House and 4 O'Clock Club, I never felt that with.
Oh.
Neither of those I ever felt that with because it felt like the stories were, or the format was sufficiently flexible.
Oh, I see.
I mean, 4 O'Clock Club had a massive cast, so you could, okay, I'm bored of those characters, I'll make these ones the focus this week.
Oh,
it's when it's a sort of tight cast and the format is quite restrictive, sometimes because you haven't got it right first time when you're kind of coming up with it, which does happen.
You mean coming up with the idea for the show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And so you're sort of limited with the number of, or the types of stories and the variety of stories you can tell. Danny's House wasn't like that because Danny's House was effectively, it was a mix of sitcom and sketch show, but there were no rules. We had 0 rules in that show.
Oh, so even though you could write the stories in your sleep almost.
Yeah.
It just stayed interesting for you.
Yeah.
What maybe what you meant then by writing them in your sleep is you were in a state of flow. with the show.
Yeah, but even
naturally
starting each
time.
series, even when there've been a break,
Yeah.
it was, the flow thing is real, and it sort of helps to. I work better when I've got a lot on, a lot of work.
You do, yeah.
When I'm starting from scratch from something, it's like I've got to build up a head of steam. But I do better work when I'm busy. Anyway, you ready to move on?
Yes, finally ready to move on.
A slightly more light-hearted question from Lee McCormick, who asked, this is a reference to our recent Hallow Beans special.
Right.
Considering how dangerous Venus's knife blade was, how about you consider something more violent next time, like anthrax or juggling chainsaws?
Don't give him ideas.
I'm not even joking.
No, please. Please, no. I don't think it was visible in the Venus Sweet Shop video how genuinely disturbed I felt by the knife being real. And for like the first 20 minutes, half an hour, I wasn't sure if it was real because I couldn't get close enough to it to touch it. But then you kept banging it on things and it was doing a tinging sound, and it's like, that actually seems real.
It was real.
Yeah, and he's doing all of this.
Venus, don't point at me, it was Venus.
Oh, yeah, Venus was doing all of this. I mean, literally, in the month before we filmed that, Paul had cut his hand twice in the kitchen. Yeah, chopping food. So seeing him do that and licking the knife and everything, it was like...
No joke. I bought a chainsaw last year.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, no, that was for the garden, though.
Well, yeah. That's irrelevant.
No, I thought you meant you bought it for a video.
We never actually used it, so it was clean.
We couldn't figure it out.
But I did actually look up whether it was possible to use it without the chain, whether it would look realistic. So that I was nearly going to bring a chainsaw with me. But the knife was better because I was able to hide the knife and no one knew. Sorry, Venus was able to hide the knife.
The knife was better.
And no one knew he had it.
It was, yeah. I think everyone was genuinely worried.
So yeah, way ahead of you there, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
Do you want to ask the next one?
Yes. Kathy Holloway asks, boring question and maybe not an appropriate one for this video.
We don't care.
But one I've been thinking of. Will you get to keep your dad's car full time now? My car is having work done today yet again, so cars are on my mind.
Yes, I'm not the... My mum owns my dad's car now.
Yes.
But I'm registered as the keeper of it, which makes me sound a bit like
keeper of the car.
Yeah, a character from Dungeons and Dragons or something. Basically, it's to help my mum, so she's still got someone who can run her around. But I'm not going to lie and say that, we hadn't had a car for like 3 years or something like that after our last one kicked the bucket. It is lovely having one, and it is sort of made it easier to do kind of on location stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't had to go down and borrow it, doing the Venus Sweet Shop video and all of that, and going up the woods, various things, and all the location stuff recently has partly been because we've had the car. It's just easier. We nearly went out today to do one because I felt like kind of getting out of the house, but instead we're sitting here doing this. So yeah, I think I've got the car, but I don't own it, if that makes sense. Just because my mum needs trips to her hairdresser. Okay, there's another one about relating to my dad. So Charlie says, when someone dies, there's a hell of a lot of paperwork and admin to do. Is there ever? Did anything come up that you had to do after your dad died that surprised you? For us, it was the absolute ball ache that was getting bank control transferred from my dead granddad to us. I don't know. Sanja, where do we even begin?
I mean, it's all of it.
The entire thing.
All of it.
I mean, I just thought someone dies
paperwork.
and that's it. I didn't know.
So much paperwork. Yeah. Not even joking, like stacks of paperwork.
Yeah, I wasn't braced for that. It's more not any one thing. It's more just the amount. It's like my dad hasn't got like kind of, he wasn't super wealthy or anything. But he had sort of bits of money, like little bit of sort of shares, and then there's, I don't know, why is it taking so long?
It just is.
Yeah, anyway.
It just is.
Why is it? I don't know. It just is.
Yeah.
It just is. But it's all a ball ache.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, shall we ask that one first?
Okay.
This is also from Chai.
All right. How are you both doing mentally?
You? I had a shit day yesterday. I mean, I've got horrible anxiety at the moment. And it's like, here's an example. The day after we had my dad's funeral, I got a call because my mum wasn't well, and between you and I, we were at the hospital for 10 hours with her the day after the funeral, and that kind of kicked off a bit of anxiety with me that I'm sort of struggling to shift, and I'm not someone who gets anxiety. You know me. I just don't. Nothing really generally phases me. But I think it's been such a protracted. We're talking because my dad wasn't well for a few years, and there were a lot of calls in the middle of the night to go with him to A&E, or my mum had fallen over and he couldn't pick her up, and there was a lot of, you'd kind of start to relax or lull yourself into a false sense of security, and the phone would ring. And I think with his funeral, it was like the first reaction after he died was relief. And people don't talk about that, but when someone's been sort of ill for a long time, my dad was really ready to go. He was ready. He'd been ready for a few years. So it was sort of relief that he was ready to go, but selfishly relief that, oh God, life's going to be easier. It hasn't been. It's been
Still
significantly harder because my mum's disabled and blind. But
and the paperwork and
everything else.
Let's not forget the paperwork.
But I think what happened after the funeral, because there was obviously the planning for the funeral and everything else, and then the day after, I actually woke up thinking, okay, good, right, we can get on with life now.
Big mistake.
Then at 11 a.m. the phone rang and it was my sister saying, can you get down here now? And then that was it. It just set me off, and I basically, that was what, 3 weeks ago, and I've had sort of anxiety pretty much every day since. That I'll just wake up with it, and then on top of that, I'm still worried about money, even though I'm earning. I'm still worried about the fact that we've got to pay off what made us able to survive the last 2 years. There was a big debt sinkhole right underneath us, so I'm anxious about that, but and it's sort of up and down when someone dies. I've kind of been okay. I get these odd moments. My mum yesterday gave me a sort of big folder full of my dad's sort of various, because my dad was so organised, it's untrue, nothing like me. I mean, I'm organised in my own way, in my head. I just don't like physical organisation, if that makes sense. She gave me sort of this big folder of all his sort of work stuff. And we're talking dating back to 1947 or something like that.
Wow, yeah. His work stuff.
Yeah, I know, it was insane.
Oh, wow.
Dating back to the 40s, but there were sort of letters written by him and stuff in there. And
oh my God,
but
that's really cool.
Going through it really upset me yesterday, because I think I was a bit on edge anyway. So we're okay. It was okay as can be, considering, we're under an enormous amount of stress, basically. And on top of that, in all honesty, it's like we everyone, all of you and all our patrons sort of say, don't worry about us. But we do, and I am conscious that we've got Digi Level 2 to finish. I am conscious that I've sort of promised and want to do Digi Live 3 next year, but at the moment we're just not finding time, and because I've got an urge to do these things, and then not being able to because of other things taking our attention away, that does add another layer of stress. It is what it is, unfortunately. I can't avoid it. I know, you can tell me as much as you like, don't worry about us, but I still will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to ask the next one?
What are your hopes for 2023?
Fucking better year than this one. Significantly better year than 2022, which has been dire.
It's been a year. It's definitely been a year.
A better year than the last 3 years, because basically our things started going a bit wrong for us when we nearly died in a car crash, and that was in October 2019, and then we all know.
We shouldn't have disrespected the desert with Venus. I was thinking about this the other night. I was like, I wonder if the desert cursed us because we did a video of Venus walking through it.
Okay.
Can you imagine?
Surely
Can you imagine?
Surely
if that was
the
true?
desert has got its revenge now.
Yeah,
and then
desert.
some.
Like, okay, we're even now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. I just want a better year, and I want a year where we can sort out finances, where we can be nice and creative, and I want to celebrate because it is the 30th anniversary of Digitiser. 30 years. I want to have the space and the resources to be able to celebrate that in the way that I always intended to. Do you know, my biggest thing, okay, well, money is quite important to us at the moment, but also just time. Having more time
to do
what we want to do.
Yeah. And what we have to do as well.
That's the thing that we're, just so squeezed with at the moment is time. It's bonkers because as well, on top of dealing with all the mum and dad stuff, we've got a huge family. We both, between us, 6 kids, and I've got a grandson. And so just making the time for all them, and they have things as well going on in their lives, and with parents, you rely on your parents to sort them out. Anyway. Talking of,
how's your grandson doing?
This is Joe.
He is adorable.
He is adorable. He's crawling now, and he has 4 teeth.
He's got 4 teeth.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's awesome. He's really awesome. He's such a happy, chill baby.
Yeah.
Little chungus.
He's so cute.
Yeah, he's been the best thing about this year.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah,
for sure.
That and our Action Man video that no one watched.
Oh my goodness! Yes, I love that video.
Head kick, Action Man. Combat. Head kick. Head kick. Head kick. Head kick. Combat extreme. Combat extreme.
But I'd also like us to have time to give some energy to our home to improve
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Because it's falling apart.
Yeah. Well, not just energy, time and money.
Time and money and energy.
Money and energy to repair all the various leaks and things that are constant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all for that. And a great Digi Live weekender.
And Digi Level 3.
And Digi Level 2.
2.
Please, don't add extra pressure. No extra
Come on,
pressure.
Paul. Do 2 more series.
Here we are. Matt Kimber, lovely Matt Kimber, one of our Biffo's Brain patrons, asks, the 2 Digi Cheap Show streams where you've had a few drinks and just do something free form with a few props and ideas to give it some structure. It'd be good fun. Have you considered doing some pure Digi ones? Yes, we have considered that. I mean, that was why we, the last stream that we did, or the joint one that we did last week, the reason we had an Ethernet cable.
I nearly started singing it again.
The reason we had an Ethernet is because we bought it with the intention of doing some streams.
Yeah.
It's time because if we do a stream, I know people like hanging out with us. We've obviously not put a load of creative effort into this week's Digi because we're just chatting with you. But I guess I want to kind of justify the stream by putting, because it takes an enormous amount out of Canon. He puts a lot of effort into the Cheap Show ones, like the Vision one that they did.
Yes,
it knackered him.
Yeah, he put a lot of effort into that.
So I do want to, but also we've got a lot of other things that we've got to do that are sort of ahead of that. I mean, that's not to say we couldn't just kind of go, let's throw something together, let's just chat for a bit. I'm not against that. Are you?
No, not really. If people, I don't know, would people watch it? Who knows? I don't know. Are they watching this? Or are they? We don't know.
It's sort of partly, I kind of wanted, the last couple of years, to do one on New Year's Eve for people who aren't going out and have a party with everyone.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we can all have some drinks. I don't know. I'd love to do that.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
But I'm not. But
people
that's not.
Are interested
that is not a promise.
But that's like not us putting on a show.
No.
I can't. Would people be interested in that? I don't know.
Comment
I mean,
below.
again, you're watching this video.
We're
literally just talking.
We give it some structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I really
literally
like
just
the
sat
one
on the sofa.
The one we did the other week with cheap show was good because we kind of took half each.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the work of a whole stream. It was like half and half.
Yeah.
And then we came together.
Yes. Yeah. Which was good.
was fun.
Took the pressure off. I mean, it was very unstructured. It wasn't as structured as the normal cheap show ones.
Yeah. But it was still, I mean...
it was still great, she says.
It was. Go and watch it.
Yeah. Apart from the game being up too high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. But I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to, but it's just finding what it is.
Yes.
Really. What makes our streams different from a regular video and what makes them different to a regular sort of Patreon video? What's a Digitiser stream, basically?
Yeah, and that's the question that we need to answer, I suppose.
Yes.
So our next question is from B's Bot Bonanza. And B asks, would you be interested in doing more toy history videos, or has your interest for that sort of thing waned?
It hasn't waned.
I'd do more toy history videos. I love them.
I would as well. I think what we've tried this year with our videos is sort of tried a bit harder in thinking about what's the sort of hook that makes them different. What are we doing that's a bit different to other channels? We've tried really hard with that this year. I'm really proud of what we've put out in exceptionally trying circumstances. Part of the problem with the toy videos, although I noticed that you can lend us some Transformers from your channel if...
Oh, would you... Wait, of course, I'm biased in asking, but if you are ever interested in doing a Transformers toy history / showcase video, I'd be happy to help. I can loan you some bots. I've just got to say... After recent experiences in my life, I've decided I'm never borrowing anything from anyone ever again.
She lost a...
I don't even know if it was me that lost it. A little notepad went missing from my daughter's game. And she seems to think that I lost it. Now, I'm not denying that I lost it. I could have. But I'm not the only one that has played the game. So... But anyway, it was just like, I'm never borrowing anything from anyone again because I don't trust myself.
I don't like borrowing.
But if we are ever in the country where you live, which I'm not going to say the name because Paul will make fun of me, then I would love to do a video with you where you can showcase the bots.
No, what I will say is part of the reason as well why we haven't done toy videos this year is toys are pricey.
Yes.
To buy second-hand ones, and we don't like borrowing. So
because we don't trust ourselves with borrowing,
and we've been broke. As simple as that, really. That's been one of the reasons. So we've tried to, and it's good because I think it's forced us into a slightly more kind of creative space, where we're using what we've got already.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's Digi Level 2. There's lots of fun tech that we look at on that. Some really we do
mainly thanks to Quang and other people.
People because it's show and tell. That was the whole point.
Yeah, so we're not borrowing anything from anyone.
Yeah, we've got some really
they
cool
bring
stuff.
it and then they take it away.
Yeah, who do we do it with? Suze, Nostalgia Nerd,
Ashens,
Larry,
Quang,
Ashens,
Violet.
Oh, Violet, yeah, but that's going out as its own episode because it went on forever.
Oh, it was so good.
That's going to be out next month.
She had really cool stuff.
Yeah, so we might need to do another show and tell because I think we're one short now.
Octavius.
Oh, and Dan does. Who was in Venus? Yeah. Oh, we have got enough.
Yeah.
Forget it. Yeah. Yes, I remember everyone's now. So they're really cool. They're not all kind of gaming stuff per se. Some of them.
No.
Nostalgia Nerd certainly isn't. It was bonkers.
That was bonkers.
It's like you bought this. Why? But it was awesome.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we still love old toys and games and stuff. So, we're not going to say our interest in it has waned.
And talking of other things, B also asks, I understand the Corner Shop Corner no longer fits with the current video vibe. As you mentioned before, this was on Patreon. But is there any chance of it coming back maybe on the second channel? We've not ruled out doing food stuff. We love it. We love
food.
Corner Shop Corner.
We love food. We love Corner Shop Corner. So
we've said we may do more Corner Shop Corner on our second channel, Digitiser Extra.
Yeah, but then we never do. I mean, it has been.
Doing one video a week has been enough.
I know.
Part of the reason why is we have got some food video ideas planned for the main channel. But for instance, when we did our cheese and onion snacks one, we're trying to think kind of, okay, because there's a million channels that just do food tasting. So we're trying to sort of plus everything we do. So for instance, when we did the cheese and onion chocolate
for this channel,
but
like if it was on a second channel, we could
we're not rolling out, we'll just eat some stuff. So if people want to send stuff to us, the PO box, which I'll put a link to the description, make sure you mark it for Digitiser, otherwise Gannon will open it and eat it himself. So yeah, we might but why did we stop doing corner shop corner? Partly because I thought we were struggling to plus things.
I think that was why.
And the corner shop or the food videos, probably because they were just basically us sitting there eating. They weren't. I wasn't feeling creatively fulfilled by them. That was it. That was ultimately it. It's like I tried to make sure, apart from this video, that that we do something creative so that I get my itch scratched, matron.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but we will, because we like eating as well as being creative. I like eating. But, you know, this is the main channel, so it's like anything that's sort of a bit big and, you know, more involved will be on here.
No. Next, start that again.
Key up.
I am robot. Okay, so our next question is from Chris Bell.
Lovely Chris Bell does Super Page 58 and who will be in one of the Digitiser anniversary specials.
Yes. Chris asks, whether you feel like it or not, you strike me as having gained a lot of wisdom.
Jesus.
and generally insightful and healthy outlook on life.
Do you think he's talking to both of us?
No. He's talking to me. No, joking. So if you could go back and talk to your younger self and give him the benefit of some of that wisdom, what age would you visit yourself at? And what would you tell him? Would he listen?
God, it's really hard to answer this without it sounding really arrogant. But I do feel I've reached a place, not of wisdom, but a place where I don't feel I'm sort of controlled by my emotions. Does that make sense? And I think...
You think you were in the past?
Oh, without doubt. Yeah, by hurt or by... whatever, you know, hurt or anger or bitterness or whatever. There were points, yeah, when things happened in life that I got a bit, chewed up over. And it took me a long time to sort of get to a place of sort of equilibrium with that. But I had to go through that probably, well, I say I probably had to go through that to get to a good place. But I always felt I was pretty settled in my sort of 20s for the most part. And then when I hit 28, I went through some pretty bad shit. And that was sort of a period of just sort of unhappiness inside where I didn't feel, I don't know, I didn't feel in control of my life. Or in control, I don't feel in control of my life now. But I feel in control of how I react to that life.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So you've... like what you said earlier, you feel more in control of your emotions.
Yeah, I mean, I said that
within the life.
So saying that, I've also started the video talking about I've had anxiety, but I don't feel that anxiety kind of is allowed to sort of spiral out of control necessarily.
Do you know how you got to the point where you felt more in control of your emotions?
You sound like a therapist.
Oh no, I'm genuinely interested.
I had to, I think, God, well, it wasn't one thing. As some of you know, both Sanja and I, where we met, we trained to be counsellors. And that process, even though I didn't kind of go on or take it further, nor did you, because that's a whole nother story. Got our fitness to practice, though, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes. But that process of that training, you're basically torn apart, or I was, because I went into it threw myself into it head first and went, you know, I am gonna do this to its full kind of potential. I mean, we had a reputation with the upper years that we were a bit, you know, everyone was scared of our year. Because we had a bit of
our cohort.
We had a bit of a reputation for sort of going there and pushing ourselves to sort of uncomfortable places. And I think in that I learned how to love myself. I learned how to give other people the benefit of the doubt. How to... I mean, I had all these things, but they were becoming kind of, I suppose, obstructed by all the other shit I had in the way. But in learning, I think, I was going to say walk a mile in other people's shoes, but learning in that process that everyone has their own shit going on, I think I gave other people less of a hard time and was became kind of more forgiving. And in doing so, I was able to let things go that where once I might have hung on to them. That's not to say I don't still get pissed off, and I don't, and I can still get annoyed with people. You can still get annoyed at people's behaviour and their actions. So it was partly that, and then, I mean, this is very deep for Digi. All of this. This is normally the sort of stuff we do on our podcast. But when I met you, I was probably still very much in a not happy place, and you accepted me and loved me, and that helped enormously to help me kind of go easy on myself. And I mean, some of this also is just age. You just get to a point where you realise so much shit just doesn't matter. You know, you get older and you just live through more, and you just realise all those things you used to worry about are not important. So that's part of it. It's just like, living to 51 is a big part of it. So in terms
there you go, kids, keep living,
keep alive,
stay alive.
And you might get to have a year as bad as mine. But so in terms of sort of going back in time and giving advice, I couldn't, because I think I had to live through all those things. That's such a cliche, but it's true. Because none of it was overnight. There was no one bit of advice that helped. One thing I did read, and I got this, and I mentioned this definitely on our podcast, and it sounds really a bit... but it helped. It helped hugely. And I don't remember, I wish I could remember where I got this idea. But there was a time when I was kind of hard on myself, like really hard on myself. And I started carrying around this little old passport photo of myself as like at the age of like 6. And when I came to beat myself up, or, kind of where you think, oh, you deserve this or whatever, I would look at that photo and think, that's that little kid that you're talking to like that. Would you talk to that kid like that? And it stopped me. So that's a bit of advice. But yeah, it's just, there's not one thing. But insightful, wise, I don't feel any of those things, but I just feel I have a clarity that I didn't have when I was younger. A clarity when it comes to other people.
You would hope that would only increase as the years go by.
Yeah,
that's what you want from life. You want to gain wisdom and clarity and understanding.
That's what but it feels like patience. Clarity rather than wisdom. Just me, and I mean that in a literal sense. Whereas before sometimes it felt like there was a fog. I was looking out at the world through a fog. It's less like that now, and so and that was the other thing our course taught us was true empathy. And what I mean by that is that ability to kind of sense what someone else is feeling, and being able to sense what are they saying behind their words or their actions, what's going on there. And once you kind of start to learn those skills, you're kind of less hard on other people. And
less hard on yourself as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But it's sort of, I'm not... It's like one of the reasons why I sort of despair sometimes at the sort of the way the world has become so polarized in recent years, is because there's just such a lack of empathy. And I always remember, that time, partly because it made me laugh because I don't label myself as anything, was when that person called me a centrist or dirty centrist. And it's not that at all, because it's just purely like trying to have empathy for whoever they are. You know, I can certainly find certain political views repugnant and enraging, and there are certain individuals.
You've been enraged
a
lot this week with certain
I know.
individuals
I know.
in the public eye.
Exactly. Powerful ones particularly, but kind of people, you know, real people who are living their lives. I just try to kind of go, well, what are they hurting about? What's hurting them? Why are they angry? Because I don't think there's any other way we're going to get through to each other as a species. It certainly isn't. Fucking Twitter blue. Oh, well, no, let me ask you about your wisdom. Do you reckon, what have you learned? And is there something you would go back and tell yourself at a younger age?
Yeah, I would. I would go back, and I'd go back to myself probably as a teenager. Oh, God, I don't want to cry.
That's all right.
I'm so bad.
We're all friends here. Hey, look, this video's
like
gone on for ages, so, you know, no one's
might
going to
get
be
cut
watching.
out.
No one's going to be watching this long into it.
Yeah, I'd go back to myself as a teenager and say that it's okay to ask for help. Like, you don't have to go through everything by yourself. You don't have to try and work everything out by yourself. You can, you know, there are people out there that would be interested in listening to you and giving you a hand.
Oh.
And just hope that I'd make better choices. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the choices I made led me here, like you said. But I just think sometimes I could have chosen a bit more healthily. Thinking about my teenage years and 20s, it's like they were very lonely. And I think I could have done with a friend at the time. So I'd be a better friend to myself. And also, the one piece of advice that someone has given me that's actually really stuck with me through the years was when my oldest two daughters were babies, and it was winter, and they were just, it was one of, like, winters used to be one would get sick, then the other would get sick. Well, you know, it was just like constant. And I was trying to get through the doors. I lived in apartments at the time, trying to get through the doors with this double buggy, and they were crying and everything. And and there was a neighbour that walked past that I didn't even know that well, and he just said to me, "Don't worry, just remember this too shall pass." And that's so cliche, but those words got me through, because it's like, it is, no matter how bad it is at the moment, it'll pass. I mean, also conversely, no matter how good it is, it will pass. So it's that Buddhist thing of, you know, the Buddhist story about just staying in equilibrium. But that helped, knowing, just keeping that in mind.
Yeah. That's another thing with age that comes. You do realise it's like that. It's not constantly.
It's
like,
cycles
it's
and
not
seasons.
A bottomless drop off.
Yeah.
You know, you hope. You know.
Yeah, you hope. Titanic what? Well, it got a movie out of it.
Yeah. Hey, that shit would never have thought it would be in a film.
Star of its own film and loads of documentaries.
Are you okay to move on?
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to gloss over it.
Yeah.
A bit. Okay, Simon Lee Tranter asks, aside from DigiLive and Digitiser, the show Level 2, do you have anything special planned for the 30th anniversary next year? A book was mentioned. It was, and like all things, we weren't expecting this year to go quite so pear-shaped. The book, partly, I want to crowdfund it, but we've got to sort out all the stuff for the Digi Level 2 backers. We don't want to launch another crowdfunder until that happens. If we're going to ask for money from anyone, we're already asking on Patreon, you know, for people to help us every month. And then on top of that, you know, we're going to be putting Digi Live tickets on sale at some point, and that feels like we're asking enough already.
Yeah. Also, like, we want to complete the fulfillment of the Kickstarter rewards and everything before we move on to
something else. So I'd love to do a book. I really would. And yeah, you know, had I been grubby enough to do a Kickstarter or something for it this year, I would have loved doing it. But I just couldn't bring myself to do another crowdfunder until we finish the other one, really. Especially not with ongoing Patreon and stuff. Yeah, Digi. So will there be other things? Maybe. It's all been thrown into disarray because of what happened over the summer. you know, I had big plans, and we'll try and make it feel big and special. But at the moment, you know, all we can think of is sort of just the next step, and the next step is finishing Digi Level 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which some of you will know we're going to be filming the next bit, you know, silver linings and all that in my dad's garage, because he's not using it anymore. So we're going to sort of set it up as a studio, you know, and it's going to be a different bit of the bunker, because it's got quite a nice sort of concretey kind of industrial feel.
It's got a very bunker-like feel,
and it's got a bit of Biffo sort of history with it, because it's also where we filmed Mr. Biffo's found footage.
Yes.
Bits of it. And also Biffo Vision, the pilot I did for BBC Three, was filmed in my dad's garage.
It's only right then.
Yes. So maybe we'll have a return to the baby factory. There's a reference for people. So yeah, we'll see. I'd like to, you know, I kind of, if we do Digi Live next year, I hope we are doing Digi Live next year. As we've said, we want to make it a weekend, so it'll be a big celebration, and there'll be special stuff around that. We're not just going to do one show. We're going to do something else the night, you know, on the Friday night. And I know Sanja's terrified at the thought that we'll get knackered. You're worried about energy levels, aren't you? I know
I'm always worried about getting knackered.
I can't wait at the thought of doing that. We just haven't had time to sort out.
See, it's weird, because if it was the other way around, where we did
I couldn't do it the other way around, because it'll be a slightly more kind of relaxed night on the Friday, and then party night on the Saturday night.
Oh, that's true, actually. You want to end with a bang.
Yeah, it's just wrong to do it the other way. You want to fizzle it out.
Yeah. Okay, so our next question is from Denny.
Who is from Denny Makes.
Denny
Go and
Makes.
check out her very funny Digitiser GIFs on Twitter.
And Denny asks, with the absolute success of Digitiser's Grand Days Out...
I think you mean Digitiser's Great British Days Out. We're not Wallace and Gromit, despite appearances.
Do they have a Grand Days Out?
Yeah.
Oh. Are there any places around the UK or worldwide you'd like to visit that you think would make for a fun and entertaining video? Oh my God, so many.
I think someone else asked, actually, if we would go abroad.
Oh, we'd go abroad in an instant if we could.
Yeah. Worldwide. Yeah. I mean, anywhere. Literally anywhere in the world. We haven't been out of the country in ages, and we haven't even had a holiday in 3 years. So.
Anywhere in the UK.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to do one in Scotland.
I'd
like to
go to a castle.
Castle, mountains. Like a castle, as in stay in a castle. I'd like to stay in a prison overnight.
Oh God, I know you've wanted that for ages. That scares me so much.
The prisoners won't be in there.
I know, but the prisoners' ghosts might.
Yeah. So God, there's just so many places that when we get the time, we want to go. We really want to go. I mean, again, it's been money this year. We would have done more if we could kind of go a bit further afield and stay in hotels. So we've sort of been doing everything within spitting distance of where we live.
But I really loved staying in that converted church Airbnb
brilliant.
With Paul and Eli. That was so good. And the UFO hunt at Rendlesham.
Yeah.
But just staying in such a cool place. The location was amazing. I wish we filmed in there a bit more.
What happened was because we stayed in this church. I mean, I know we got the ghost stories video out of it, but the whole place was amazing. The idea was to do a ghost hunt in there, but because we'd had a 4-hour drive or something like that, or 6-hour drive, it was so insane because the traffic had been bad because of an accident.
There had been an accident, and they'd had to get like a helicopter in to help the people.
And then wandering around Rendlesham for hours, we were so knackered. And all we had the energy for was to get drunk and
chat.
But we set out the videos and all the cameras and recorded a video. But yeah, we wanted to do a ghost hunt in the church. That was why we rented it.
Yeah, that was so cool. But yeah, literally anywhere.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere you wouldn't do a Great British Days Out?
No. I was going to
say the dump, but it's like, yeah, probably even the dump would be fine.
That would be fun. I think it's what we make of it. It's like, I like doing them because, they're planned to a point, but the sort of narrative, if you like, of like, oh, we're going to get thrown out, or this place is boring in education or whatever, kind of finds itself as we do it. Because, spoiler, I'm not really that grumpy.
And you do actually like science.
Bloody love the Science Museum. It's like I love the Science Museum. And I love the farm that we went to.
Oh, I really want to go to the V&A.
Oh, yeah.
I know that is a museum that Paul genuinely
hate
like,
the V&A.
and I
hate it.
I love it so much.
So brace yourselves for that one.
I can't wait to go to the V&A.
We are going to do.
I mean, we went there years ago, and we weren't doing a video or anything, and he still walked around like this.
Yeah,
I just loved it.
As grumpy as I was in the Science Museum, I was for real in the V&A.
V&A,
so dull.
Do you have to read everything? And it's fascinating.
So boring. So V&A by the Victoria and Albert Museum, it's just clothes. It's like going clothes shopping.
It is so interesting.
Anyway, so we're going to do there. God, there's so many places.
So many
I want to get out. I want to get out of London.
Museum's good. Yeah, we need to get out of London. There's so many good little tiny museums out of London. Tring with the
Oh yeah, that's good. The Tring Natural History Museum.
Oh, the Tring Museum's a treat.
We also want to do a Christmas market at some point.
Yes.
Some sort of Christmas outdoors thing. 'Cause I actually really liked our little one we did last year with the Christmas lights.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was fun.
A little Christmas stroll.
Yeah. But worldwide, yeah, God, absolutely. I would love to do a Digi road trip across America.
Wow.
A Digi Great American Day Out or great or week out.
Really long day.
Yeah. I would love to do one side of America to the other for Digi.
Wow. That would be cool.
Yeah, stopping off at little weird attractions.
Oh, there's so many cool things.
And hopefully not nearly dying.
That would be a treat.
Yeah. To America. Driving across America. Yeah. Matt Bilverstone says, will you be doing any more Digi Deluxe? Because I really want to see Ash fit to send an awkward text to someone. Ash, we were hoping would be in Digi Level 2. He isn't so far, but he might yet be. We never know.
I hope he gets to be.
Yeah. And I hope we get to do some more Digi Deluxe because I really love doing them. And I class Digi Deluxe as the golden bean as well. All of that.
I guess this year, because we filmed a huge chunk for Digi Level 3, and that kind of had a vibe that was very similar to Digi Deluxe.
Yeah.
It feels like we have done loads, but no one's seen it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I still see this as sort of like a channel with different shows on it, and Digi Deluxe is just one of them. The Golden Bean is another. Digi Level 2 will be another. So, wow. Yeah, I just don't know when because of life, but the intention is there. When we get stuff set up in my dad's garage, I would like to do some regular Digi filming in there. I would like it to be a space that's flexible enough
That'd be cool.
to just have stuff set up and we can just nip down there and film videos.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, that's my goal. While we've got it, we might as well do that. But I would like to use that space for some
put a sofa in there.
Yeah, Digi Deluxe, just regular Digi videos or something. Just we won't have it forever because sadly my mum won't be with us forever. Said that in a weird way. My mum won't be with us forever, but make use of it while we can, I think.
Yeah.
And do some, but we'll still do these here, but do some more special videos down there. It's not a huge space. But,
it's not as big as the studio where we film.
But if we put the camera down one end and as you say, a sofa or something up one end that people can sit on.
It's close. It's not a million miles smaller than the studio we usually film at.
I think we could
There's potential
certainly.
There.
There's potential, so that may yet happen.
Yeah.
Watch this space. Let's just hope for about a year for us next year, and then but you're gonna have Digi Level 2, and it will hopefully.
It has a Digi Deluxe vibe.
It does because it's a lot more relaxed than Digitiser the show. I think.
Yes.
It had a much more kind of laid back feel to it when we were filming.
So my eyes have gone really fuzzy.
Is that because you had
Dave
tears?
Graves asks, what was the reaction like when people sussed you decided to ditch the video game content? How did you deal with it? Okay,
that's the second question. Let's ask that in a second. I'm sure I've talked about this before. People were not happy once they realised. It took us a long, long time, and it's only been this year, really, that we've recovered from stopping doing regular video game stuff. It's only this year we start to see the channel start to grow again. albeit slowly, but it is after, 2, 3, 4 years, something like that, of it just kind of declining or just staying stagnant. And it was hard, and I get it. I get why people were upset because...
Yeah, because you subscribe to something for a reason.
Yeah.
And for certain type of content. So if you're not getting that type of content anymore...
Yeah.
It's just a natural part of YouTube life.
Yeah, and it was, they were perfectly entitled to kind of get peed off and unsubscribe because they weren't getting what they expected. And likewise, when Gannon started being on here a bit less regularly, some people only was subscribed because Gannon was here, because they were Cheap Show fans, or they like, how I was with Gannon or whatever, and again, I get why people... and people who didn't know Digitiser, kind of who came to Digitiser the show because of, Octavius or Larry or, any of the other people involved when they weren't on the channel regularly. Again, I get why people were miffed that wasn't what the channel was ongoing. And it was, I regret that. I regret that we didn't start the channel with the sort of videos we're doing now. And it's a weird proposition. We're based upon a, 30-year-old video game magazine from Teletext. So why is this called Digitiser? Why? In fact, I think I tried to explain it recently to our patrons about how I don't see... Digitiser isn't, for me, it isn't about video games. Digitiser is a kind of way of approaching any sort of content.
It's a state of mind.
I know that sounds really wanky, but I tried to sort of explain it, I think, when I was talking about the Venus video to people on Patreon, and how Digitiser back in the day on Teletext was very much stream of consciousness to a degree, and it was sort of improvisation. It was written, but it was improvised writing. That sounds really weird, but I know what I mean. And when we do our outside videos or whatever, it feels the same as writing Digitiser to me. It feels like I'm sort of shaping it and not knowing where it's going to go, and I'll do that with reviews or whatever on Teletext. It just feels the same to me because it's, I get it, to the outside it doesn't, but internally to me, there's not a lot of difference between what I did on Digitiser on Teletext and what we do
now. It uses the same part of your brain.
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
It does completely. And so, and so the way I think of it is, well, just, Digitiser just happened to be about video games for 10 years back in the day, and it could be about anything. It's just how I approach it.
But when it comes, we always have our other shows on the channel. So Digitiser, the Digitiser the show, Digitiser level 2, they are about games.
Yes, and you'll get a ton of gaming content.
Digitiser Deluxe isn't about games, but it still has a similar vibe.
Yeah.
So
the Great British Days Out and the Golden Bean, they're all supernatural world, found footage even. The editing is sort of uses the same part of the brain that I do when we're improvising or whatever.
So basically you're saying Digitiser is a part of your brain.
Well, yeah, I think that is why
it's a section of your brain.
I did.
And all the content is stuff that comes out of that section.
I did, which is why when people did react badly to us moving away from it, I did get a bit upset when some people were like, oh, Digitiser is these other people, or Digitiser is you and this other person. It's like, no, Digitiser's me. Like it or not. Yeah, I co-created it with Tim Moore, but, Tim was there for the first, 4 years, and then the last 6 years were me alone, pretty much, with some other people who would help on, like, the tips pages. That's not me being arrogant or egotistical. It's just a statement of fact. And, I own the trademark. I own Digitiser. I trademarked it. And it felt, and in those days as well, I think I was also... the show days and the early days of Gannon and I sat behind this desk. I think as well, I didn't feel terribly confident as a performer. And I was definitely relying on other people more and leaning on them. And I didn't feel comfortable in front of a camera. It feels weird now to say that because I can just look at the camera like I'm looking at another person. But it felt weird to be looking down the lens of a camera in those days. It felt odd. And very exposing, and I felt very awkward. And I still get moments like it. I mean, when we were doing the Halloween video, there was a bit where, it's sometimes...
You mean in the sweet shop?
In the sweet shop, yeah. There was a bit where which didn't make it in. I think it may have made it into the podcast. A bit where we had to try and make Dan angry to try and generate the ghosts. Yeah. And I had a go at it, and I was shit at it, and I felt really... No,
in your opinion...
No, it wasn't funny, because it wasn't funny. And I knew, come on, it's like I can pick up when, I'm being funny. And I knew I wasn't being funny. And I do struggle sometimes when... I don't know... When I try something slightly out of my comfort zone. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But it doesn't,
Yeah, but I think that's natural to struggle when you're trying something out of your comfort zone, because the whole reason it isn't in your comfort zone is because it's unfamiliar.
No, there's something I'm trying to say, but I don't know quite what it is. I sometimes feel, even now, if there are a lot of big comedic voices in the room, like Paul and Eli, I sometimes can feel I struggle. You might not always see it because I edit things very cleverly.
But struggle in what way?
Like I'm having to paddle really hard to keep up with them.
To keep up.
And to be heard and to be spontaneous enough that I'm funny in my own right. I don't know. It's really hard to put into words. But I do sometimes feel I'm struggling.
Maybe it's your editing, but even often I'm there in the situations with you, even if it's behind the scenes, it doesn't come across like you're struggling.
Never comes across when I'm Venus, or when Venus is there.
No,
sorry.
I'm saying even when you're you yourself, from the outside, it doesn't come across like you're struggling or paddling or...
I struggle when I'm...
I think, you can hold your own quite well. From the outside, that's how it... from the outside, that's how it seems anyway. I know it might be different for you internally. Whoops.
I feel I struggle on Cheap Show when I'm on there. I struggle to be funny, I think, in the way that I am on Digi. Because you and I, we've known each other a very long time now. And we have our own sort of banter and comedic rhythm ourselves, because we do it in our own life, and we know what each other's limits are.
In our own life.
Our lives outside of Digi, but we also, we know each other's limits, and we're relaxed around each other. So it felt like a natural thing when you came and started doing these with me. It didn't feel like, there's an adjustment for me. But Christ, that first series of Digitiser the show, I was a rabbit in the headlights until the end of that week, when I was so exhausted I just didn't care anymore. And I think it's just, it's for me, it's just learning to turn off that part of my brain where I go, I don't care. It's telling as well now, though, when I'm in public, I don't give a shit anymore. It's just, I'll dance, I'll say anything and do anything. I don't care anymore. But there was, when we first started filming, I felt really self-conscious. But it's just having to get to a point where I can switch that off in every scenario, and I don't always. I second guess myself sometimes when I'm with people that I'm not quite as familiar with. And I know Paul and Leo well now, but I still get moments of it because they're so funny together and they've got such a natural banter.
They've got a great they've got an amazing chemistry together. They really
it's
do.
like a machine.
They're so quick-witted.
So it's hard to know, where do I...
But you're quick-witted as well. I'm just like...
But it's where do I fit into that equation, or where do I fit into that sort of comedic energy? What's my place in that? Sometimes it's like I struggle with that because they've got something that's already there. You throw in a foreign element and it throws it out of kilter. I think we're getting there, the three of us, when we do stuff, and with you now, you're increasingly sort of doing stuff with them. But I think when I work with them, it sometimes feels best when it's like me and one other, or you and one other, or whatever. Yeah. One last question for the regulars, and then there's going to be loads more patrons. This is from Dave as well. What made Sanja venture before the camera and perform? She's a natural, by the way. Love the chemistry of your performances. What made you venture before the camera and perform, Sanja?
That would be the international global
the international global pandemic.
Which
the IGP.
The IGP, that would be the IGP,
as it's commonly known.
As it's commonly known. Yes, that's literally the only reason.
But you had been in a video before then. We did that Indiana Jones one, the archaeology.
Oh yeah. Oh, and a quiz with Chris
Bullock. Oh yeah, you were in that as well. So you have been in a couple. How did it feel when you started? Kind of regularly appearing, because for me, you always seemed a natural, and I always felt you would be. Here was the thing: I always wanted you in the videos, because I just think, I know you're lovable and adorable, and I knew people would feel the same way about you. Well, you are, and I knew broadly people would appeal. Yeah, you would appeal to people, and I wanted sort of people to kind of, more people to kind of have a bit of the Sanja magic, but at the same time, I was scared because I didn't want to expose you to awful people. But thankfully, generally hasn't happened. How did it feel though when we first started doing those videos in the pandemic?
In the pandemic, I mean, it was just kind of normal because it's us. Because as Dave says, love the chemistry of your performances, but they're not really performances. But I mean, okay, sometimes they are. But it's like because we've known each other for so long. We literally talk all the time. We're always hanging out.
Yes.
So the only difference
we're
is
best
that
friends
there's
almost.
Light shining on our faces and a camera, and that. Otherwise, apart from that, just feels normal.
Yeah, and is it?
I think in the beginning, the light throws me off a little bit. I don't really notice it as much now, and generally like an internal panic about the equipment, which, as we have seen, we're not experts with.
I often panic about my equipment.
As our equipment, often things go wrong with it. So it was more that really than anything else. And the fact that the fact that my brain is not connected to my mouth, so I don't find
That's not true.
I don't find it easy to speak.
It doesn't come across
or my
that way.
thoughts are so disorganized. I don't find it easy to speak what I want to. To convey what I want to convey. And you know how you're saying.
So well, you always say this, and yet.
But that's how I feel all the time, and I guess the pressure's off because you are very quick-witted, even though you say.
So are you though? You are. You don't realise it.
But I don't feel like I need to be, because it's like
you are.
I feel that's why I feel comfortable with you, because it's like I can say something and you'll just take it and turn it into something else. So like something funny. Like
but you are funny.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, you seem to think you're like entirely the straight man.
I'm not putting myself down by that.
No,
I'm just saying,
but
like, it helped me feel more comfortable, because it's like there's no pressure. I don't have to perform. I don't have to be funny. I don't really. I mean, yeah, it would help if I said things that made sense. But if I don't, oh well, maybe that will be funny in itself. So I'm not putting myself down. Like, this isn't me putting myself down. I hope it doesn't sound that way.
It does.
Just,
yeah. Okay, here's a question. It's not
meant to. It's just like, I'm saying that why it felt quite natural and fairly easy.
Right.
Fairly easy. Even though there were a bit of like, I can't speak, but you can, so it's okay.
Apparently she can't speak. Well, how would you feel, or how do you feel being on camera has changed for you since you first started doing it? Is it feel any different now to when we first did it? Do you feel more confident?
I think I feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
I think I feel a bit more comfortable, but it's not massively different.
No, see, because I feel enormously different.
But the videos are about different things, so. I mean, at the moment, we're just chatting, so it's really easy, just sit and chat. Yeah, a bit different, but I don't know. Yeah, but for you, it was different because when you started, it was in a big studio with, like, loads of people staring at you at a table with a bunch of other people. And that is a very, very different situation to sitting on your sofa with no one else in the house apart from your kids with like maybe the lights distracting you and fear of equipment.
I think as well
it's a very different situation to start in your living room than to start in a studio.
With me as well, I think there was a certain level of expectation. Oh, he's Mr. Biffo, so he's got to be funny.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that. It's like I can just be myself.
There was a lot of second guessing. That's what it is. It's when I second guess myself that I feel out of my depth, and I did that a bit on the Halloween one. The bit that I took out, and I do it when I'm on Cheat Show. I overthink.
Right.
I get into this sort of slight loop of overthinking it, and then I think I can be funny. I can be funny when I'm being spontaneous.
Because you are.
Thank you.
Like all the time.
But if I somehow get into a point where I'm not,
Yeah, I get that. And I think I was lucky because I don't feel that pressure on me to be funny or clever or anything.
Yeah, I do.
It's just like, I'm here to help hold the space with you and talk about whatever we're talking about.
But it's taken me a long time. It took me a long time. It felt like, you can see it. My persona on Digitiser is different in the early videos where I'm sort of a bit more... my clownishness comes out through the characters now, whereas the Mr. Biffo you generally see is kind of grumpy and indignant, and that I've realised sort of I can improvise like that a lot easier than I can kind of, I don't know, being I'm Mr. Wacky or whatever, which is what I suppose I thought people expected of me, kind of. But it's fine because that side of me, the surrealism and all that, comes out through the characters now.
Yeah, and through the found footage clips that
all that sort of stuff. Whereas my on-screen Mr. Biffo is more sort of grumpy. Weirdly, less so in Digilevel 2. I noticed I was a lot more sort of playful in that than the grumpy Digitiser's Great British Days Out Biffo. Don't know why that was.
Almost like Mr. Biffo's a multifaceted person.
Yeah, almost like I've got lots of sides to me. I'm so complex, me, and deep. That's my main thing. I'm deep.
You're a nonagon.
Deepest. Okay, that's it for this video, which has been far too long. I appreciate. Well done if you made it to the end. There's a code word if you did.
Oh,
and that code word is wheezing. If you made it to the end of the video,
why wheezing?
Comment wheezing below.
Oh.
And then we know you're part of the wheezing club.
We're wheezers.
We're wheezers. You want to see the rest? Go check us out on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Mr. Biffo, where there's all sorts of other bonuses and whatnot.
If you stay to this point now,
good on you.
I'm amazed. Like, I'm absolutely amazed.
Who's got time for that?
Thank you. I'm just like, what on earth?
Oh, well.
What do you mean? Oh well.
Well, we didn't mean it to go on that long.
You're not getting that time back.
No, sorry. Bye.
I was gonna say those however many hours. I don't even know how long it's been.
No, I'll try to edit it down a bit.
All right.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back with a regular video soon. Subscribe, like, comment, and thanks for being with us. Bye. Ow!
What did you do?
Flick my teeth.
What did you do?
I did a funny way that went up my fingers.
Oh, okay.